Hello everybody and welcome to a new Let's Play of Pokemon Ruby Nuzlocke Challenge. For all the info on what a Nuzlocke is, just read the description. But for now, let's just get started. Chibify! Welcome to Hoenn, a region inspired by the real-world Japanese main island of Kyushu, that roughly translates to abundant relations forged between Pokemon and people. Nothing of importance happens here, so for now I'm just going to explain how this project will be going. I will be nuzlocking the game to add some difficulty and explain strategies to consider while completing one. To make things interesting, I will be using a source called Pokemon Special, which is a manga, or black and white comic, that follows closely with the games to make sense of the hijinks in Hoenn. I decided to play the male character because the game starts with a family moving into Hoenn, and in Pokemon Special this is what happened to our protagonist Ruby. If you're familiar with Pokemon, the general gist of it is that the game's to battle Pokemon. In newer games, an NPC will hand you healing items, but in older games you were limited in carrying items and should always check the item storage. Through the generations, most male Pokemon protagonists have always been designed to be the cap-wearing, battle-capable types. However, Ruby is very different, at least in Pokemon Special. Ruby is not really the battling type, and instead he focuses on honing his skills in Pokemon contests, which are essentially beauty contests for Pokemon. Right there she was referring to Ruby's father Norman, who is a very tactical gym leader who we will meet up later on. Right there we just met May. In the anime she's a bit of a ditzy girl type, but I prefer her Pokemon Special counterpart, Sapphire. Sapphire is more of what people would expect from a Pokemon trainer. She's an overactive girl that loves battling and is a bit of a tomboy. She has a bit of a feminine side, and I believe a good counterpart to Generations 1 Green. Here we have our first battle. When battling, the basic concept to understand is that both sides attack, and depending on stats, typing, and strategy, one side wins this complex game of rock, paper, scissors. At the start, we're given a choice between 3 in order to catch more Pokemon and become more stronger. The one I chose, which is the smart choice, is Mudkip. It has good offense and defense and has excellent typing against lots of opponents in the game. I highly recommend it for a Nuzlocke run. In accordance to the rules, all Pokemon must be nicknamed. I decided on Fenric because it sounds similar to Fenrir, a Norse wolf of ice. Mudkip is a water type, so close enough. The person we just talked to is Professor Birch. He is Zapphire's father and a more laid-back professor compared to others in the series. He specializes in Pokemon habitats and distributions. His field of study is primarily how Pokemon behave in the wild. But now that I have a chance, I wanted to briefly discuss a few things while heading straight to see Zapphire. First off, I want to be clear that the capturing clause in Nuzlocke challenges has not started until I'm given Pokeballs, so any random encounters here are not counted against me. The other thing I wanted to bring up are the starters that I did not choose. The ones I did not pick up are Trico and Torchic. Trico is a grass type and a bad choice just because in Gen 3, grass is special and that guy's stats focus on attack. The one and more popular one is Torchic. He is good in the late game for both special and attack oriented, but for a Nuzlocke challenge you risk losing the challenge early due to bad typing. In Pokemon, the basic thing you need to know while in towns is that you go to the red building to heal and the blue building to buy items. Newer games fuse both into the same building, but for new fans of the series, this is how things were done. Also, there will be times when you need to do plot-related elements. To find Zapphire, all we gotta do is we gotta head north and cover some grass, and she should be just straight up ahead. We can't really go to the left just because the route is closed off, so essentially the game is making us go straight ahead anyways. All that happened here was just a random battle and that Mudkip grew a level. Nothing really much to say. Right here we have our first rival battle. May only has one Pokemon and it's fairly easy if you at least gain the level before getting to her. The Pokemon she has will be the one that has a type advantage against you. At this point her Pokemon only has normal attacks and should be no threat to you. If you do have trouble you can use the potion you picked up at the start of the game to win this fight. In the game Ruby met Zapphire at her house leading up to trainer battles. In Pokemon Special however, it was more comical to say the least. Ruby was running from a Pokemon when a shadow appeared and saved him. Ended up being Zapphire in a very odd Tarzan-like attire. Apparently it was meant so that she can get near Pokemon to help her father's research. Ruby attacked her thinking she was a monster, and I don't really blame him, and she retaliated, making it into a true Pokemon battle. Though for the most part they just argued about whether contests or battles being more important. A large snake Pokemon called Viper came out and stirred up trouble, forcing both of them to work together. Afterwards, the two made a pact to complete a goal to become a master of their respective interests in 80 days. Now that I'm done fighting her, all there's really left to do is to heal and head back. To get back, all you really need to do is to head south. You don't need to worry about random encounters at this point, since the legends on the routes creates a shortcut back. Too bad it doesn't work both ways, as I am not fond of the random encounters in Pokemon. With the Pokeballs in hand, the Nuzlocke challenge officially started. Just one last thing before heading out. Right here, we're gonna say goodbye to Ruby's mother and acquire the running shoes. To me, it's so I can run in the game. In Pokemon Special, they hold importance. The story starts on Ruby's birthday, and as a gift, Ruby receives these running shoes. They are supposed to be high-performance shoes capable of jet-propelling long distances. Ruby was not fond of them, but kept them only just because they would help him for traveling. As happy as it seems here saying goodbye, unlike in the game, the Pokemon Special went another route and made it so Ruby had run away from home, all to lead up to his great adventure. Now that I started the adventure, it is finally time to catch some Pokemon. Our first random encounter here, and it's a Zigzagoon. It is a very common normal type with decent stat. They appear in several areas and are such good to find now rather than later. It can learn a fairly good move pool and best used for special moves to bypass in-game obstacles, also known as the HM Slave. So it acts more like a cat. Interesting. As to the rules, I named it Zagzag, just because I was not being creative here. Now that I finally caught something, I wanted to head to the center heel and try to get one last Pokemon before ending it off here. I will try to go for something north of me, as I am likely never to come back here. Our first unique encounter, and it's a Wingo. Wingo is an excellent Pokemon to find early. It is water and flying and can learn pretty good moves. It has the Keen ability, meaning that its accuracy will not go down, which is good when playing the story. If you choose a different starter, this bird will do a good job making up for the lack of typing you have. Definitely a worthwhile catch. A deed of the sky, huh? As to the rules, I decided to call it Postman due to how they're used in other games. Alright, with a good start, I'm gonna call it here. Next time on Pokemon Ruby Nuzlocke, I'm gonna head to the next town. Till then, see you later. Bye bye!